A plugged-in NFL analyst says that the Denver Broncos are heavily interested in trading for Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. So, Taylor is currently being dangled on the trade market by the Indianapolis Colts after the relationship between him and the Colts organization, Jerm Irsay in particular, was just absolutely fractured after Irsay went on and blasted Taylor publicly on Twitter for basically seeking to be fairly financially compensated for being the league leading rusher in 2021 and having a very sensational rookie season in his own right. In the two of his three NFL seasons that he's been healthy, Jonathan Taylor has been one of the best running backs in the NFL. And reports are now indicating from Cecil Lammey of 104.3 The Fan that the Denver Broncos are one of two teams that are heavily interested in Jonathan Taylor's services. So the Colts want to get this trade potentially done by this coming Tuesday. Cecil says that he was nosing around the league yesterday, checking around to see who is interested in Jonathan Taylor. The two teams that he was told were the most interested were the Miami Dolphins because of their interest in Dalvin Cook, and the Broncos' interest in Dalvin Cook was also longer than they were letting on or anybody really knows. And apparently, the Denver Broncos are the second team that's heavily interested in Jonathan Taylor's services. I really don't know what to think about this Broncos country because Sean Payton is a guy who clearly values a dynamic run game. And there's no doubt that Jonathan Taylor would bring a dynamic run game. I mean, he's special as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He's special running between the tackles. He's special running outside the tackles. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is really a complete all-around running back. But when I look at this Denver Broncos backfield, for me at least, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense because Javonte Williams, yes, he's coming off that major knee injury, but if you've been out at training camp at all throughout this past 2 weeks, then you can see that Javonte Williams is really confident and comfortable in his recovery. Sure, he didn't really have any explosive plays in the San Francisco game except for that catch on that scramble drill from Russell Wilson, but I still feel like Javonte Williams is going to be a big part of what the Broncos are trying to do in the run game this year. Samaje Perine as well, he's looked really good in training camp, and we can't forget about Jaleel McLaughlin, so I don't know, man. The Broncos' backfield for me is pretty much well-rounded, but Sean Payton may want a superstar in that backfield. He may want another Alvin Kamara, essentially, and Jaleel McLaughlin can do some of the stuff that Alvin Kamara can, but he's not the same player that Alvin Kamara is. And Jonathan Taylor, granted, he's not the same player as Alvin Kamara either, but I feel like they actually are a pretty close comparison when you look at them, although they're not exactly the same. So that could be the thought process here for Sean Payton. Again, I don't know how I feel about it because the Colts want the equivalent of a first-round pick for Jonathan Taylor. So they want some combination of starting caliber players and high draft picks. And I just don't think the Broncos are going to be willing to give that up for a running back. This would probably mean that Javonte Williams could be on the table here for a potential trade to the Indianapolis Colts as part of this package. Personally, I'd rather offer both Tony Jones and Samaje Perine and see if the Colts maybe want to take that. I would not want to give up Javonte Williams at all in this scenario. I'd still want Javonte Williams to be a heavy part of this backfield. But also, with the draft pick side of things, I just don't see the Broncos giving up more high draft capital when we're just now starting to recover from the Sean Payton trade and the Russell Wilson trade. I mean, next year we still don't have a second round pick. And last time we saw a trade like this transpire was last season when the Panthers traded Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers. San Francisco gave up a second, third, fourth, and fifth round pick to get CMC. So that was basically their equivalent of a first round pick that Carolina was seeking. And I just don't see the Broncos being willing to give up that much draft capital. So sure, the Broncos may be heavily interested in Jonathan Taylor, the player, but I don't think that they're heavily interested in giving up what's necessary to get Jonathan Taylor, if that makes any sense. Now, Cecil Lammey also cautioned that Jerm Irsay could be dangling Jonathan Taylor on the trade market here but not looking to trade him at all, but rather to gauge his value for a possible contract extension. After all of this drama, I don't necessarily see that, though. I don't think that the Colts are going to extend Jonathan Taylor, and I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to want to re-sign with the Colts after Jim Irsay went on there and publicly blasted him. I mean, I love the nickname Germ Irsay for him. Shout out to the guys over at the Mainly Broncos podcast for coming up with that one. That one's brilliant. I'm so stealing that. But yeah, man, overall, after Germ Irsay went in and just absolutely annihilated that relationship between Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, I don't see Jonathan wanting to re-sign with them. So I feel like a trade's going to transpire. And right now, I feel like the more likely team for it to happen is the Miami Dolphins. But that said, that doesn't mean Denver isn't heavily interested, just like Cecil is alluding to here. All right, Broncos country, how do you guys feel about the Broncos' supposed interest in Jonathan Taylor, and would it make sense for this team in your opinion? Drop those comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.